thank you very much for joining us today to share your story with the Living Archives. Ordinarily, or in the past, we've done COVID metrics, but at this point in time, the county is no longer listing any COVID metrics. And so, we aren't wearing masks. We're both comfortable with that mask.
Okay.
Could you introduce yourself, please, and describe yourself?
I am Sherika Kemp. I am 43 years old. I have 4 children, 17, 14, 17, 14, and 8-year-old twins. I'm African American, and I have let's see, about 5'2", and what else? I wear glasses, and I have right now I have braids in my hair, but I am natural, which means I don't have like any chemicals in my hair, like no perm or anything like that. I'm single, so I'm not married.
And
I have on a muumuu today that is colorful, teal and brown with gold beading on it. So very comfortable, and
because it's very hot today.
It's very hot. I haven't done much all day, so I've just been relaxing and
That's a good thing.
cleaning a little bit.
That's good. And where's home for you right now?
Charlotte. So I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm originally from the coast of North Carolina, Elizabethtown, close to the beach, between like Fayetteville and Wilmington.
Do you miss the beach?
I love the beach, so yes. The beach is my happy place. I hope to retire on somebody's beach one day.
Anybody's beach.
Anybody, I don't care, as long as it's some water and I can look out and look at that water, and I just have so much peace at the beach. So.
And is your family still at the beach?
My mom is still, she's like an hour from the beach, so she's still close to that area.
You said you hope to retire there. What will you be retiring from?
Teaching. Really soon, hopefully.
Really soon?
Hopefully.
Have you been teaching a long time?
Only 3 years, but I've worked as a sub for 4 years before that, and I was told by other people that you could retire in 10 years, so that's my goal, to retire and receive partial retirement. And then I'm gonna work my business and do other things that I want to do that's gonna make me happy. Close that door, please, because I don't want to hear them barking. So we have 2 dogs that you can hear, Marshmallow and Luna. They are Jack Russell Terrier mixed with Chihuahuas.
They are very cute. One is a white fluffy.
Yes, one is white, and the other one looks more like a traditional Chihuahua.
Yeah. And so, so you started teaching you were teaching full time before, but as a substitute. But you started teaching as a staff teacher right as the pandemic began. Is that
No,
right?
I started teaching 3 years ago, so this is my 3rd year.
Okay.
So when the pandemic hit, I just did not teach any during that time because I didn't want to risk bringing something home to my kids. And since I am the sole caregiver, I didn't want to, it just was too much of a risk for something to happen to me and the kids be left here, and my mom and stepdad be responsible for, taking care of them. I didn't want that. That's too much of a burden for them. Although I know they would do it, but she's raised her kids. I want to raise my kids, and I just didn't want to be stuck home. I didn't want to risk bringing COVID home to my kids.
Is teaching something that you fell into, or something you chose?
I guess it's something that chose me. It's something that I wanted to do. And when I was in undergrad, I did go to school. I started out going to school for elementary education. And I ended up switching once I learned what the pay was and all that. I always wanted to be a teacher, but I don't really like standardized testing, so I didn't want to do the tests. And I was like, teachers don't make any money. Like, I don't want to do this job and still be struggling to survive.
Yeah.
And so I got a sociology degree, and I went on, got my master's in HR, and still don't do anything in either one of those fields. And ended up working at Johnson C. Smith for about 2 years before I got laid off from there. And then I started volunteering at my oldest two girls' school, and that just led to me substitute teaching. And then I was like, well, I've been doing this for 4 years. Like, I might as well go ahead and start teaching full time, because I couldn't really get a position. I had a few contract positions in HR, but nothing like concrete. And I wanted to buy a house, so I was trying to find something that was gonna stick, and teacher stuck.
Yeah. So what grades do you teach? Or
I'm
what
second
grades have
grade
you
now.
taught?
I taught fourth grade. My first year which was the absolute worst. That school was the absolute worst school.
Was that the first year after COVID? Or
That
when
was
that was before. I guess it was before, because you said you took. I'm just trying to get the timeline.
That was after COVID, so that was 2020. Because this is 2023. So that would have been 2020, 2021.
At the end of 2020.
End of
September
2020,
2021 school
yeah.
year, right? So the first, as soon as they went back.
As soon as they went back, I was teaching, and it was a lot. The school that was one of the worst jobs I ever had. Like, that school.
What made it terrible?
The people, the principal, my coach, I didn't have the support that I needed as a new teacher, and then it was just constantly, you should know how to do this, but nobody was showing me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a hands-on, like, show me. Don't just tell me how to do something, show me how to do it, because that's how I'm going to learn. I'm a visual learner, hands-on. So if you're just telling me, walking in, well, you need to do this, but you're not showing me how to do it, how I should be managing the class, or how I should be teaching the class, or whatever, like, that's not going to help me. It sounds good.
Do you think that it was, made more difficult because the kids had been out for a year?
Oh, most definitely. These kids are a different level of disrespectful, and that's why I didn't want to go back to fourth grade. Although prior to COVID, I had subbed all grade levels from elementary to high school, but I had never been disrespected as much as I was that year teaching fourth grade. Like, it was just another level of disrespect, and I don't deal with disrespectful kids, and my mouth and their mouth just wasn't matching up in some situations. And then the parents want to tell, they believe your kid, although I'm prone to believe my kids too, because I know what my kids are hopefully not what I'm gonna do, because I taught them a certain way. But I would not think that a teacher would, if a teacher called me and tell me my kid did ABC, I'm gonna question my child, not to just automatically say, well, my kid is not doing this, because you never know what your kid is gonna do when they're not in your presence, one. And so, but I had parents who were telling me their kid is saying that I don't like them, like, you're just being mean to them, and it, like, just blatantly taking the kid, because the kid started crying, taking the kid's word. Like, I'm not gonna waste my time and call you in the afternoon with a lie.
Yeah.
And when everybody is saying the same thing about your kid, but you still not believing it, like, it's a problem, which you are the problem, And so it just was a different level of disrespect, and then just not having the support. And I know I've said this a lot of times, if I didn't have children, I would have quit that year. The only thing that kept me in that job is because at that school was because I had kids, and I'm trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
But if it would have just been me, I would have walked out of there and wouldn't have thought twice about it.
Do you think, during the pandemic, there were initially, like people saying, oh, teachers, they're so great. We don't pay them enough, blah, blah, blah.
That's true.
Did you get any of that? And when it turned, when did it turn?
I still get people now who are saying, thank you for your support, thank you for teaching, I appreciate what you do, those type of things. And I don't know when to turn. I think parents just in general did not realize how much teachers had to do until they were home with their kids. And granted, people still weren't doing because, the stats and grades and reading levels show that a lot of kids are still, very far behind. And so I don't know when the change occurred. I think probably as soon as they came back in the door, some parents just gonna believe what their kids say.
Yeah.
And it starts at the home training, the manners, yes ma'am, no ma'am, respect your elders.
What about the masks? Did you encounter anything with
We
masks
did.
or sanitation?
It wasn't mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have them. I think that first year though, it was kind of mandatory. It seemed like the first year it was mandatory. We did have to wear a mask, and we would have the mask in the class. Like the schools would supply the masks and hand sanitizers and those things. But they would try to keep the desks separated. I remember being yelled at by the principal because the kids put the desks together, and because I wasn't constantly monitoring and moving the desk around, I was yelled at in the hallway in front of other staff. And I was just like, well, the kids know it's COVID, just like I do. And if they keep moving their desks, I can't teach and keep interrupting the lesson to separate desks all day, So
trying to figure out how to teach and also
keep that separation and safety. And the kids didn't care. They were still sharing food. They were still sharing drinks. They were still, hugging each other. So, I think it probably was a little harder with elementary to enforce that. And that was my biggest concern about working during the pandemic, because I worked in the school and I have small children, and I've had, my oldest two were at one time was small too. So, we know that kids are not going to protect themselves like you and I are as adults. And anytime my kids have gotten sick is because they brought something home from school. The flu, COVID, when we caught it, because they got it at school.
I was going to say, did they get it? They got it. Did they get it that first year back full time? Or before that? Or after that?
No, they got it that first year back full time because I was working at that school. And I caught so much slack because Naya, she caught it first. And I think she tested positive for
How
it
old was
first.
she then?
12.
12. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then she got it. I think Cheyenne, one of them got it first.
And they were
Cheyenne,
like 6.
they were like 5. They had just turned 5. So one of the twins had it, Shania had it, and then my oldest got it. So like every week when we were supposed to be cleared and get, one of them would test positive, and then that happened like 3 weeks. And so we end up being out for, of course out. But I think the assumption was that I was supposed to leave my kids home and still go to school, because I was told that they're saying you don't have to stay out as long anymore for COVID. You can stay out for, I think it was like 5 days or something like that. And I was like, I'm not leaving my kids home and they're sick to take care of themselves, to come here and take care of other people's kids. Like, I'm not going to do that. And so it was just a lot from that principal. She, around when I went back, so this had to be like September, I think October when I went back, I had like jury duty or something around that time. she wanted me to reschedule jury duty because I'd already missed so many days of work, and she wanted me to reschedule jury duty so I could come to work. I was like, no, this is state sanctioned. This is something I have to do. And so she's like, well, I don't know if you're gonna get paid for all of this time you've been out, just going on and on. I was like, well, if I don't, I don't. There's nothing I could do about that. My kids were sick. Then they end up getting the flu around the beginning of the next year. So like February, somewhere up in there. And all of these days, sick days that were not supposed to be used against me were being used against me on my performance at the end of the year. So it just was a real messed up situation. I ended up, she didn't keep me that year and the next year, which I was 100%
in agreement with.
She did not keep me that year, and because she had all this laundry list of stuff that she felt like I wasn't doing, and one of them was because absences. I was absent so much, but all the days the majority of them, my absences were because the kids either had COVID, they had the flu, or because I was sick from picking up something from them. So it just, that was like the hardest part for me. My struggle was, school system is saying that these days shouldn't count against you, but then the principals are still using the days against you anyway,
Yeah. And so you went to a new school the 2021-22 school year. Mm-hmm. And now master optional.
Mm-hmm. Master optional.
Everybody's back.
Everybody's back. Yeah.
And you're teaching what grade?
Second grade now.
In a new school.
At a new school. I'm enjoying second grade. It's still have a few behavior issues, but it's not as much. And it's not as much disrespect. You still have a few, they're not angels, but it was good because the twins were in second grade, so, they got to eat lunch with me if I wanted to or whatever, and I could bring their lunch and warm it up if they didn't want cafeteria food. But it was a better situation all in all for me. But that year, the first year, I ended up losing my health insurance and everything over the summer. They gave me no warning that this was a year-end job, and so I had to come back in the system as a new teacher last year and start my insurance and everything back over. Mm-hmm.
Do you have to start your retirement countdown over?
I don't think so. I need to find out about that.
Yeah. So, that first year of the pandemic, you're not working, you're home, the kids are trying to do school at home. Mm-hmm. You live in was it 2-bedroom?
This is a 3-bedroom.
3-bedroom.
And so the twins were in kindergarten, so I'm doing school with them, in virtual.
Did your training come in handy? Did your teacher training come in handy?
It did, but for me, it was still hard to focus at home to help them. Mm-hmm. Like, their teacher was awesome. I loved their teacher, but it was too many distractions here, and I think because we had just moved here and I didn't want to come over here, so I was dealing with some what I feel like now was probably some signs of depression, having to come here, staying here, and then just dealing with the things that were going on in the neighborhood. We moved up here and experienced the drive-bys and stuff like that. We had never been through those type of things, so it just,
you're in the house all the time now.
Yeah. And so our last house, we had a yard. Here we don't have a yard. The kids don't have space to really run out and just go outside and hang out because it's no space. And can't leave their stuff outside because it will walk away. And it's just it was just an adjustment coming over here. It's a cultural shock, so to say.
So how did you manage that situation with everybody inside but not feeling very safe? Did you go and your family somewhere else?
We would that first year we stayed in the house a good bit, but then I say about October, I think it was, we went to, I just told the kids to pack up. We made us a reservation and we went to the beach, and we stayed at the beach for like a week and a half. Like, I did not want to come back. It was the refresh that I needed to get my mind straight and just be away from here. Be away from cramped in here, because it is 5 of us in a 3-bedroom. Although the number for the square footage in here is, nice, but it's not set up well to where we could really utilize the space. And we have a lot of stuff, and I have a business, and I have stuff for my business in my bedroom. I have stuff in the storage now, stuff all in the floor. It's just stuff everywhere, because it's no separate storage space. There's no like closet space separate. Like it's just a lot. So I just need to get away from here. So we went to the beach, and we stayed there, and it was the best thing for all of us, because we were just being in the house and the kids weren't going outside, and I started taking us to the park, and we would just, stay at the park for a little while. And I know the parks were closed technically, but we would still go, and we walked around. We would do a few laps around the football field, and just have picnics and just do, different stuff just to get out. And I realized once we started doing that, then I started feeling better. And I would, when I'm walking, I'm praying and I'm talking to the Lord, and just that's what got me through it. Just trying to find inner peace and get myself together, because I knew the girls were dealing with some separation anxiety from moving away from their friends and not being able to go out and socialize, because they were busy people. Every weekend we were doing something. So it was like, now we're here and we're locked in this house, and we don't want to be in this neighborhood, and it was a lot for them. So I did have to put the girls in some therapy for a little while, just to help them deal with those emotions. And it was tough on us.
That's really hard. So you were saying you have a church community here in Charlotte. And I was asking if they were part of your support system.
So I didn't really lean on my church system here that much. I would watch them online. Of course, the churches were closed and stuff, so I would watch them and TD Jakes. But my mom and my stepdad were really my big support. Both of them are ministers, so we would go home, even though sometimes we wouldn't even, when COVID first hit, I would get stuff, because they're in the country, so a lot of times I could get stuff here that they couldn't find down there, water and paper towels or whatever. So we would go down there and we would meet outside, drop the stuff out, how y'all doing, whatever, and then we would come back, but then when it started to clear up a little bit, we would just go down and hang out outside, eat something outside and then come back. And so that was my support, has always been my big support right there.
Were you tempted to stay with them for a period of time?
No. Even when prior to COVID, maybe about 2015, I had just had the twins, and we experienced a couple of weeks of homelessness where we were staying in a hotel, and my mom, they didn't like that at all. And like, well, just come down here. And I was working, and I was like, it just would have been too much driving back and forth every day to go to work and go to school, get the kids to school and stuff. So we just toughed it out and stayed there at that hotel. It was pretty rough, pretty seedy hotel, but we toughed it out for them 2 weeks. And I don't want to go back home. And not to say there's something wrong with people who, if if push come to shove, I would go back home, but I didn't feel like I was there, where I needed to go back home.
Do you think, that's a lot to have managed during the pandemic? A new place where you don't feel safe. Your youngest starting school, your other kids in school, but you're trying to teach, but manage at the same time, teach them. Do you think there's something different that came from that, about your relationship with your kids or your understanding of yourself?
Being home that time, I'll tell you this. I did think about maybe a year or so ago that I said I wish I would have taken more advantage of that time being home and done more things with them, showing them how to do different stuff, cook and, do basic, although we cook together and we have days they cook and stuff, but just done more stuff with them during that time and taking advantage of it. But I was so sunk in my own, I guess depression, that I kind of retreated to my room a lot of the times, and we would go to the park and do our little thing and eat dinner and spend time together, but I didn't really take advantage of that time like I wish I would have, because I was in my place and they were in their place. We all were dealing with the same things, separation anxiety and the same bouts of depression, but in different ways. But I didn't see that because I had never been there before. So, I think that's the hardest part for me when I sit back and think about it. Like, I just wish that I would have, although I was appreciative to have somewhere to stay, I just didn't appreciate it enough. You know what I'm saying? At the time.
And I will tell you, I've been depressed like that before, and spent time wishing I had used that time differently. I do think it's important to remember you were using it the way you needed to use it.
Right.
You're here, you're still here, and you needed to do whatever you needed to do to make sure that was true.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It was a rough time for me, because I remember just times when we would be driving here and we would get about down the street and I would just start crying.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to come here. So, I'm just grateful to not be there anymore.
No, it's you want a home you can feel safe in.
Yeah.
And you're working hard.
Yeah, and then, I had maybe about two years before the pandemic, I had started saving up my money and, get my credit together. I was like, we're going to get in this house and get us a house. And because, like I said, we had been in that hotel for those 2 weeks. And then the last place, those people decided they didn't want to take Section 8 anymore. So that's why we ended up, having to move over here. And I just didn't want to be in the place where somebody could tell me to get up and leave at any moment anymore. And so I was trying to, I felt good about,
What you accomplished.
2019, this is our year, we're going to get a house, And then the pandemic came and just kind of put that up.
Yeah. Wiped away all that. Yeah. Have you talked about it with your older girls? With your oldest? I don't know whether you had talked about getting a house with her, and if you guys have talked about what the pandemic meant then for her, like how she, from her side, saw it.
Well, I know the girls were they were just dealing with the isolation. That was the hardest part for them, not being able to see their friends, not being able to go out and do anything, and then not being able to go outside, to really enjoy outside, outside at home, go sit in the backyard, go sit in the front yard, go sit on the porch or anything like that, because we didn't have those things anymore. So just being cooped in the house all day was I know that was hard for them. And so that's why I started taking them out, just going to the park. And, we will run, we would have fun just, for that time. It just reconnected us with nature, and, we went hiking up the mountain one year. The twins hated, well, one of the twins hated it. But the other three of them, they enjoyed it, and we got to the top just to see, the scenery. We standing at this high peak, it was just a good thing. And the beach, like we went to the beach several times during the during the pandemic. It's just, we need to get away, Let's go. We go to my mom's house, and my mom, just to get away. We had to get some separation from here for a while. So
now you mentioned your side hustle.
Mm-hmm. My side hustle, yes.
How long have you been doing your business? And tell us about your business.
So I have been doing my business for many, many years. Probably since my oldest was like a little girl. Because I started, let me tell you about the business. I do make whipped shea butters and body scrubs and homemade soaps, and I sell cakes, and I do a little bit of everything. Make candles, I do a little bit of catering, I just do a little bit with everything. Professional services, I help people with their resumes and make business cards and labels, stickers, whatever, stuff like that. So, but I started doing the shea butter thing because my oldest, Shania, had eczema when she was a little girl, and the products that they were giving me, I noticed just were not helping clear it up. And I had been using shea butter for years, and it was working on me and keeping my skin kind of clear and smooth and stuff. So, but I don't know if you ever used shea butter before. When you buy it, it's kind of hard, so the consistency was just kind of hard to use it. So I just said, well, let me put some oils in it and whip it up and make it a little more pliable, a little easier to use and manageable for not only me, but for the kids when they want to get some. So I started making it, and my friends would use it. Oh, let me buy some of that. And then, so that's kind of how it started, and that morphed into making soap and scrubs and other things. Yeah.
And how about the cakes? You just like baking?
I like baking. I don't eat a lot of sweets. I don't eat a lot of cake, but I bake them and people buy them. I started selling them when I would take them. When Nia was in elementary school, I would always give the teacher a cake for Teacher Appreciation Week. And so the teachers look forward to the next year. I remember I gave her second grade teacher one first, and I remember one of the teachers saying, I hope I have your daughter next year. I want my cake. So they, look forward to it. And so from me giving that cake away, it just started getting me sales for, the cake. So that's how the cake situation started. So
that's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
So, how has that business, did it continue to grow through the pandemic and then now?
I didn't really do much during the pandemic. I started kind of getting it back on track.
Do you sell mostly at farmers markets, or do you do Instagram and stuff too?
Well, I sell mostly to word of mouth people. So you tell your friends, stuff like that. I do have a Facebook and an Instagram, but it's not active because I'm not the best on social media. And I hired my kids to do it, but you know how kids are. They more interested in doing their stuff than what I
Your
need.
stuff.
So I'm hoping this year to get like a website put up or something, because that's my goal. Like within the next few years, while I'm working to get my business, good footing with my business. And so when I retire, I'll be collecting my retirement, and then I'll have my business to, I can really focus on my business. And plus I would like to, one day, I always dreamed of having a nonprofit for women and children, like provide housing and different services and resources for single moms, single dads who need support or need somewhere to stay, like short term, even help with long term if needed. So, all of this is to build up to that, to be able to do that. And I don't want to be 60, 70 years old working and then, now I want to start do my passion. I want to do that now. That's something that's been on my heart for a long time. And so now I'm going to use these next few years to start working towards being able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very cool. Well, what were you wrote a bunch of things down in your hand, Matt. Would you be comfortable sharing a little bit about what you wrote were some of the good things that came out of the pandemic?
I wrote family and friends, spending, the getting a better relationship with God, the trips to the beach, focusing on my different tasks like business and different little things that I would set a goal and I would do it, Instead of just sitting here being idle and watching TV all day, I was like, I need to get something done during this time, productive,
Mm-hmm.
And so setting those tasks really helped me get out of that funk, because I had something to do. Because you know how busy I was. So it just was, I think that was just our issue all the way around, because we were just so used to being busy. And then the move and the silence and the isolation was just a lot at one time for us to process,
Yeah. And you think you feel like your relationship with God improved, that you were able to
Yes.
dig into that a bit more?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the right term.
Yeah.
But that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other things from the handout that you feel like you want to share?
I put on here family time with kids, closeness to God and self. I put on the lines. You said some of the big things, like some of the roadmaps.
Some of your journeys, yeah.
So moving to Charlotte was a big journey.
So tell me about that.
I moved here. I've been here for over 20-some years. So I guess I'm a Charlottean now, because I've been here more than I was in my hometown. But I came here and I got a job, and I worked at a hospital for about 5 years, and then what did I do? I started working at Smith. Something on my lip. Started working at Smith, and having kids. So like the twins were a surprise. I was not expecting to be having any more kids or twins on top of that. I found out I was I found out I was pregnant and having twins within 30 minutes of each other. So that was a shock. And so just going from 2 kids to 4 kids overnight, having to get a bigger car, that was an adjustment. What else did I put? The career changes, because we all have ideas of what we want to do and where we should be. By this point, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be doing this, doing that, whatever. And, I never thought I would be teaching, but when I think about it, it's kind of full circle, because I did start out going to school as a teacher, and here I am now teaching.
Would you say that are you enjoying teaching now more than you did? Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying it, period? Or is it not really?
I enjoy teaching. I enjoy the relationships with the kids and, seeing them grow and have that aha moment, and building a relationship with the other teachers. I met a lot of great people, in my teaching career.
Are you teaching at the same school the twins go to?
Mm-hmm. So I'm in second grade again this year, and I enjoy it. I mean, it could be better. The pay could be better. The work-life balance is not realistic, and that needs to improve. It's a lot with teaching that needs to be fine-tuned, and I feel like that's why we struggle with keeping teachers in the classroom, because it's so much required and it's so much asked of teachers. And I remember like that first year coming home and feeling like I needed to go right to work, getting prepared for the next day. And that was kind of the mentality that they would give me at that school. Like, well, you need to go home and write your lesson plans. You should be reviewing your daily lesson each night. Well, I have 4 kids. Like, I have to come home and cook dinner and have some time to myself. When am I going to have time to sit up and do this? And I remember nights that I would be up like all night, like literally not going to sleep, trying to get stuff done for work. And I just, that was the first time I had ever experienced panic attacks or anything that first year of teaching. I had never had a panic attack. Never like just been so stressed out in my life before.
Yeah.
Till I started teaching. So,
that's what Rachel wants to do, be an elementary school teacher. Do you think you'll follow the twins as they move up towards middle school, or do you think you'll stay in elementary?
I'll stay in elementary. It's just too much. When you move grades, you have to learn new content. And I like second grade. I like that. I always said if I teach, I want it to be in elementary, and because you can really nourish those kids and nurture them, and they're more pliable. They'll listen. And middle school, when they get to a certain age, you can't really tell them too much, So I would probably stay in elementary.
Is there anything when you look at the future? How do you feel? Do you feel optimistic, careful? What words would you put towards it?
I'm optimistic about the future. I'm hopeful. I know this is just the now. This is just a moment in my life. This is just a step on my journey. So I have to remember that and know that all of these things that happen to me are for a reason, And one day I'm going to be able to tell somebody what happened and help them when they're going through it. So I'll be able to look back on this and be like, thank you, Lord. I thank you, Lord, for bringing me through that, because, I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. I know things are going to get better. I know this is just a stepping stone. And so what I'm going through now is so I can help somebody else. And I have already helped other women who've gone through similar situations that I've been in, and I've been able to tell them, like, just push through. Don't give up.
Have you found other women in the neighborhood who feel like you do?
It's a few other people in here who I talk to. It's only really maybe 2 people over here I talk to.
Yeah.
So, but at the school last year was a teacher who experienced some of the similar things that I experienced my first year. And I was able to, give her some support and guidance because I had been through the same thing previously. And so, I think we have to remember that everything happens for a reason, even though it's hard when we're going through it, of course, but it's either a lesson or what do they say? It's a lesson or a blessing. Is that what they say? So, if you don't learn that lesson again, you got to go through it again. You got to get that lesson the first time. So,
Is there? I just have 2 more questions, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Is there anything that about either your relationships with your family, your relationships with the family here, family in Elizabeth City, or your professional self? Are there things you can look at and say that is different because of what we went through in the last 3 years? This is different. I am different, or our relationship is different.
I'm a better mother because of COVID, because it did give me that time to really bond and connect with the girls. And once I got out of my funk, I was able to really appreciate things better. I tell the girls, Nia had asked me about something she was doing for school, and it was like, would you take a job that paid more or that, made you happy? And so I had to explain to her that money doesn't buy everything. Money doesn't make you happy. And, just show her how many celebrities are committing suicide, who are rich, but they still aren't happy. That money didn't bring them the peace that they desired. And so I just, had to explain to her that peace, you have to be happy with yourself. And that's something that took me a long time to learn, that we have to be happy with ourselves. We can't look for happiness in other people, other things. If we're not happy with ourselves, those things are not going to make you happy. It might make you happy for a moment, but it won't be long-term happiness. So just trying to instill those lessons in the girls, like trying to build up their self-esteem. Being a single mom, girls, is hard. And, it's hard. You just don't want your girls to go out and meet the wrong person, because there's so many predators and they looking for a certain type of weak person, and I just try to build them up, with that self-love and self-worth, and build their self-esteem, keep them away from drugs and different type of people. You just gotta look for the signs,
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Uncertainty is hard.
Mm-hmm. And so now I'm dealing with that. My oldest going to high school. Graduating high school. This is her last year, so I'm like, I don't want to let her go.
It's hard to feel like they're still gonna be safe.
Mm-hmm. So it's but just being able to, find that happiness within me. That I think that was my biggest thing, was just, trying to find what made me happy, what was gonna make me happy, and not being not stressing about the stuff that didn't matter, the little stuff. I had to come to a place with this job, like, I'm only one person and my kids require my attention before anybody else's kids does.
Yeah.
I felt like that first year I gave so much to that job that I didn't give enough to my girls, and so now one of the twins were playing catch up with her reading and phonics and just basic skills to make sure that she is where she needs to be, because I was so busy trying to meet all of their lines, which was unrealistic, that I was coming home sometimes and just crashing, or going in the room and just doing work, cook something to eat, go in the room, cook something to eat, go in the room. And so we started back just having family time, sit at the table. I brought some cards to build conversation, just taking advantage of those small moments, because people die every day. Yeah. People are dying every day, and once the days are gone, you can't get them back. So I just want to appreciate every moment and, enjoy it, because they're going to be gone, and then I'm going to be here, not here, but, by myself, or hopefully not by myself. Hopefully the right man going to come along real soon. We're speaking that into existence. But, but they won't be here to be requiring my attention. So I have to be able to, I got to know who I am without them. So I had to spend time just figuring out what does Sherika want? What makes Sherika happy? Yeah. So when I'm not with them, I need to be able to have a life. Yeah. Because I remember when the girls used to go to my mom for the summer, and I wouldn't do anything. Like, I would literally sit on the couch all day. Like, I didn't know what to do. I had been so, out of the loop. I just didn't feel like...
You're like, I don't even know where to go.
I don't even know where to start, yeah. And so, I don't want to be that anymore. I don't want to be so into the kids that I lose me, or so into the job that I lose me. And so that's where we are now, just trying to make sure I have me time, because the self-care is important for me, and that's what I'm trying to teach the girls, just that self-care is important for you to take time for you. You should never give anything 100% of your energy if it's not benefiting you, growing you, Yeah,
you need to keep
some of it, right,
in the equation.
Right. So just trying to, navigate, still learning. Every day is a new journey.
Isn't it funny, when we're little, we think that you hit 18 or 20 or whatever, and whatever it is, because that's what we were told.
That's what we were told. Yeah, I'm trying to encourage my oldest just, to go to school, and I don't want her to move out. Don't rush to leave the house. Stay home and save your money and get your education and figure out what you want to do, because I think we Americans tell our kids that you're 18, you got to go. You got to move out. You're on your own. But I think about when I was 18, I didn't know anything. I was winging it every day, trying to figure it out. And so I feel like if we nurtured our kids a little more in the home while they're still, and guide them, when they're in college, and still kind of help them, that'll help them better.
Help them land better.
Help them when they are ready, when they're 24 to 25, they're ready to be out on their own, that they'll be mentally ready. This is a lot, juggling college and a job, and if you decide to get your own place, and you've never done these things before by yourself, that's a lot.
It is.
Trying to figure it out. So I know, especially in the Black community, we push our kids out. I'm not per se push them out, but we encourage them to leave. You're grown now. 18 is not grown.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. But I wanted to ask you, you're a Black woman raising 4 Black daughters. COVID wasn't the only thing that happened in the last 3 years.
Mm-mm.
Is there anything you'd like to share about the experience of trying to raise your children and being home with them through so much of the George Floyd's murder and the responses to so much of what happened?
It's a lot, and it's overwhelming. The black community, we gotta get together, come back together, and I don't know, do better. The fathers need to be better fathers. That's the first thing, because the girls need their fathers, the boys need their fathers and their mothers. They need them in the home, and we just have to do better as a community, as a whole.
Did you all talk about George Floyd?
We did. We watched the thing on, his death on TV. We watched what was the Mike, the little young boy who was killed by the police.
Yeah.
And it's so many of them have happened that we have become, this society has become desensitized to seeing our people just murdered. And it's like, oh, it's another one. And so we just, I don't know, we need to do better. It is not just us, it's the police need to do better. It's society needs to do better. The government needs to do better. It's just, I don't know. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
But it has to start with us. It's got to start with us doing better as a family, as a unit, and then as a community.
I really appreciate this. I want to respect your time. You've given me so much of it, which I really appreciate. Is there anything else you want to share? Be sure and get in any story that, like, you really, I want to be sure you know this, or I want to be sure folks have heard that. She's doing great, right?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess I want to be sure that folks know that I am a person who has persevered through a lot of things, and I'm still here, still loving my children, still loving myself and my family and my friends. And, I'm going to keep going as long as I can, hopefully to 165. Yeah. So, it has been a struggle, but it's been a struggle worth fighting. I have not given up. And I thank God for having a right mind to not give up, because there were times when I wanted to give up, especially after just there were times that I wanted to give up, but I didn't. And I prayed through it, and I cried through it. I remember after having the twins, and just raising them basically since they were babies by myself. And just I remember being home one day, and I'm cleaning up Cheerios, and I was like, oh, did I really go to school to get my master's degree to be in here cleaning up Cheerios? And like, I'm just so upset, because here I am home with 2 babies by myself, 2 more kids by myself, and it just, hearing different things that people have said to me. I had somebody tell me, oh, so this is what you're going to do with your life, just have babies. And, just hearing those things, oh, so you're going to be a statistic, and those things just going in your head. And I had to tell myself, Sherika, allow yourself the time to cry. You give yourself a day. You stew over it that day, but that's it. Because the more I thought about it, and dealt with it, like the deeper I dove down.
Yeah.
And so I would allow myself time. Today I'm gonna be sad if I woke up in that mood and I was, wasn't feeling like myself. Okay, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna hash it out. But that's it. Tomorrow is gonna be a better day. We're not gonna stay in this moment today. Yeah. And so that was a pivotal moment for me when I realized what those triggers were. And I allowed myself that time to process it and be done with it. And that really helped me. Yeah. Helped me. So I think these are things that we aren't told though.
That's right.
And the different ways depression can creep in. We're not told about that. And so I had to figure it out on my own. But if I wouldn't have been strong enough to process it and, figure that out, I could have easily been a statistic.
Yeah.
Well,
the feeling can't be, you feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And we often try to ignore the feeling, and that means that the feeling drives our action because we have no. If you say, well, I'm not wrong or right to feel the feeling. The feeling is a feeling, so I'm gonna feel the feeling. Then you can get a little space to be like, okay, so now what am I gonna do?
Right.
But you grow up, and don't cry.
Right.
Get over it, or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, the feeling is wrong. The feeling can't be wrong.
Right.
It can't be right. It's not. It doesn't live in that space.
And you have to process it. Journaling really helped me. Just writing out my thoughts and my feelings. So I brought the girls journals. It was like a mother-daughter journal.
Oh, nice.
So they could write whatever they were feeling, and then they give it to me, and I would respond back. And that's how we would communicate. And I never want them to be in a position where they felt like they couldn't come to me. But some stuff is hard to come and say, Mom, whatever.
Yeah.
So I found that a lot of times writing it down was so much easier for me. So I said, here, this is for us to communicate. Tell me whatever, and I'll, we'll work through it. And that's how I realized that I needed to put them in therapy from passing that journal back and forth.
That's amazing.